Okay, so we are officially live.
Officially?
hmm
As
The
of
red button turned red from gray to red, and so that means that oh boy, we're live. There's people watching us.
how many? Well,
Tons.
it doesn't matter. Are you not entertained?
There's tons. There's tons.
Well, good. That works. So, oh man. So what's been going on in you? I mean, I didn't ask you. I don't think I asked you. Um, how did you fare with the tropical storm that came through? Did that miss you completely, or?
Well, let's put it this way. Steve had to tell me all about it because it completely went over into his area.
Right.
So I didn't feel a single. It's been sunny, but I mean, it's been a crazy. We get extreme weather anyhow, so it's not like we won't get our turn again.
Okay. Well, you're down on the southern tip of Florida, so I don't know when a storm makes that swing down through the Gulf like it did. You guys didn't get any kind of effects at all.
I didn't feel anything.
Okay. Okay. Is that the norm with storms that swing through the Gulf? I mean, I imagine obviously it depends on how close it comes to the state, but
It depends.
if something hits like say Tampa, do you guys
Typically not. If
are
something comes
affected?
up from the Caribbean
Mhm.
and hugs the west coast of Florida, like
Uh-huh.
the last hurricane we had, I forget the name of it because it's like, but that blew us to smithereens all the way across the other side of Florida. This place was being pounded like nobody's business. So it depends on how close.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. Well, I never did ask you. I know Steve was having some problems down there. Steve Nealon from Harneal Media, webmaster to the stars, and all around good egg. He their area got hit and kind of got hammered a little bit. Not as bad as it could have been, thank the Lord. But so wishing everybody out that away, you know. We were watching the news as we were eating dinner this evening, and it's still spinning over land. And our local weather forecaster says it's approaching the Great Lakes. And if it stays organized the way it is, it will be the first tropical storm to hit Lake Superior in recorded history.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, for all of you people who've been out there posting memes going, gee, 2020, what else are you going to throw at us? Will you knock it off, please? I mean, nature loves a challenge. Quit doing that. Don't challenge nature, man.
I mean, by the time it becomes a tropical storm,
Mhm.
I don't know that it's for us here it's like a walk in the park, but for homes further north I'm sure that that's problematic, but
Yeah.
we don't even budge with when they say tropical storm. We're a little concerned but very slight.
Yeah.
It's
Let's
when
just-
it gets into the even when it gets into hurricane, if it's category 1, we're
Mhm.
like, oh, psh, we're like psh. But once it starts climbing and 2, we're kind of like, oh, it's a 2, let's see if things don't, the warm waters of the Atlantic and Caribbean don't add to it. And then it says 2, we're like, oh, well. And then when it goes 3, we're like, oh crap. And
Yeah.
once it starts climbing, but in those first few points, we're like, well, we got this, and stuff can happen, but it's not. So we're kind of built in with some heavy duty protection, but yeah, it's for those people up north. I couldn't imagine. It's not like their houses are generally, I don't know, they're built with wood, so that's a different story than what we have down here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of the same thing out here with us when it comes to earthquakes. I mean, if it's less than a 4.0, well, if it's less than a 2.0, we don't even feel it. I mean, a 2.0 is like somebody bumping the bed on their way back from the bathroom. If it's less than a 4.0, it's like, man, just roll over and go back to sleep. It's when it gets to between 4 and 5, folks start paying attention.
Yeah.
And you can tell people if the earth starts to shake a little bit, people will kind of look around, stop and kind of feel and kind of look around, and you can tell that they're feeling with the seat of their pants, or if they're standing up, they're kind of, waiting to see what's going to happen. And if it's just kind of a gentle rumble, it's like, yeah, okay, I don't even know why I stopped walking. But when it starts getting a little bit more intense, then people start paying attention. But it takes a lot to get people running from doorways and stuff. So, I don't know. You just get kind of, I hesitate to say complacent, but yeah, you do get complacent, and you do get a little bit jaded. You get too used to it, and to some folks' detriment. The believe it or not, the hardest thing is being in a vehicle or being in a boat, because unless you are right there at the epicenter, you don't even feel it. I mean, like the Loma Prieta earthquake that hit back in the 80s in the Bay Area. My in-laws were driving south on Interstate 5 out towards Sacramento. And Sacramento, they felt it. They felt it real good, believe me. They didn't get any damage like they did in the Bay Area. But my in-laws were driving on the freeway. They said they didn't know anything about an earthquake until they got to their hotel that night. Then, of course, it was all over the news. But they were right there in the middle of Sacramento when it hit. And if they would have been standing up or not in a moving vehicle, they would have felt it.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't think that just the air in the tires would absorb the shock of it. They didn't even know it happened.
Talking about rumbling, quakes and rumbling, there's also just I'd be remiss if we didn't mention the cover art that we have, which we spent a long time working on and considering, topically and the art of it. But how about hot sauce and whatnot? We enjoy that, throughout society at different levels, and some people can't deal with it. Are you a salsa man or not?
A little bit, yes. I like to be able to taste the food. I don't want it so hot that I can't touch it. But I like a little Tabasco. I used to go through a lot of the Frank's Red Hot back when it was Durkee Red Hot before it became Frank's. Good old Louisiana hot sauce. I put that stuff on everything. And Tabasco is a little bit vinegary for me, but I do like the Red Hot. I also have some Mexican hot sauce. I want to say it's Cholula brand, and hashtag not sponsored. It's a good hot sauce for Mexican food. And we have various hot sauces. One of the things I used to like to do was with the hamburger, mix ketchup with some green Tabasco, and mix them up, stir it up real good. It's real good on French fries. But yeah, I mean, I don't go for the nuclear hot sauce, but I do like it on quite a bit of stuff.
Well, there's a show on YouTube, and I think it's Hot Ones, or don't quote me on that. Mm-hmm. But what they'll do is, and I don't know if you've seen it, stop me if you have, mm-hmm. where it's a host, and they go to like this warehouse where they build a set, and they will invite current famous actors, musicians, models, athletes, and they have a sit down. And it's actually, if you've not seen it, I think that you, Mark Lindsay, would totally enjoy it, because here's the story. So you have your host, and the host sits on this, there's a table, and there's a row of hot sauces from your light, beginner, sort of soft, all the way to the extreme. And they have chicken wings in the middle. Now, mind you, some of these guests are vegetarian, so they'll do veggie wings in some instances, or the real one. They'll cater to the guest. So you'll have someone like, let's say, Jack Black coming on, and they have a lot, men, women. It's incredible. And they'll sit down, and what it is you have a conversation, and you ask the guest an interview kind of, and you go through each sauce, and then the interview is over. So It's question. It's do a little dip,
Uh-huh.
a little, on a chicken wing, bite it, and question. And they
Okay.
start sweating.
Almost like punishment, huh?
It's no, and you should see these people, dude. They start sweating, and they're like, and the guy's asking him questions like, "So tell me, in that movie that you did this," and you can tell that the actor's not thinking about what he's saying anymore. They're going like this in the movie, and he's like, "Oh, just once, tell me that again." What? I don't. And like it's fun, and they'll give them napkins if they and they have a thing of milk.
Uh-huh.
So and the objective is to get through with it without the drinking.
Uh-huh.
And some people, the moment that they break down is like a thrill, because they'll take the milk and say, "I can't do it," and some people spit, and incredible. So yeah, you never seen it?
No, I've never seen that. It's a whole channel dedicated to this.
I'm surprised you haven't seen it, because it's so entertaining that you would love it.
I very rarely do the foodie type channels. There's a couple here and there that I'll kind of watch if they have something that I'm interested in. But I mean, my interests are so varied now. If I started getting into food channels, that would be all I'd be interested in. And I'm fat enough already, So yeah, I really, really resist the urge. I mean, I even stopped sending my wife, somebody would post a recipe on Facebook or something like that. And it's like, man, that looks good. I stopped sending those to her because she would make them. And that's contributed to my gross tonnage. And it's like, I can't be doing this no more. I can't do this no more. But yeah, you're going to have to link that over on the Trampled Underfoot Podcast Facebook page,
okay,
so
we'll
that folks can get a look for it, because it sounds kind of interesting.
It's funny as hell. Yeah. I'm telling you right now, it's so entertaining, because you get all these actors that are, they're always in control of themselves. But when you start adding hot sauce and you're actually looking at the bottles and you're like at number 3 and you've got like 12 more to go, and it's just a dab, and they start sweating. The whole idea of them trying to contain their, it's just so funny, dude.
To throw them off balance.
Yeah, and some people do make it the way through, but I mean, they say my nostrils are burning, my this. I just see them, dude. It's great.
When I was growing up, I used to think that was the love of hot foods like that was a cultural thing. Like, because like I've said many times before, my mother and my grandmother were both born in Texas. And my mom had gallbladder problems from a very early age, so she didn't like hot foods at all. It would set her gallbladder off. And she didn't have it removed until she was over 50 years old. But my grandmother, she would eat some of the hottest ding-dongs. I mean, she'd eat jalapenos like cherries. She didn't care about it. She loved that good old hot stuff. So being from Texas, right on the Texas-Louisiana border, I thought maybe that was a cultural thing. But I've since kind of figured out, just kind of on my own, that it's not. It's an acquired taste. You either like that kind of thing or you don't. And I like a little, but like I said, I like to taste the food. If I'm having barbecue, I want to taste the barbecue. I don't want to just have my taste buds anesthetized by Carolina Reaper hot sauce on it. To me, that's right. Just, some things do need hot sauce. I mean, I probably going to cheese off a few people here, but I like hot sauce on my collard greens. I've always added a little bit of Louisiana hot sauce to collard greens, and just various different foods like that. Some like it, some don't. But
that's one place where we and I've had a friend recently in the past year come visit us. I won't mention his name because I've made fun enough, but he was coming down, and I said to him, hey, so and so, when you come down, we're gonna go ahead and have some awesome Cuban food. And he says, well, I don't go for the hot stuff, he said. And I couldn't stop laughing. Well, a lot of people don't know, but because we've talked about it so much. But growing up in my household, there was the salt shaker
Mhm.
and the pepper shaker,
Right.
and that was it. So there's no hot sauce involved at all. However, I personally, being adventurous, have grown up ever since then, trying all sorts of things. So I'll try Indian food and I'll try all sorts of. And so I like the adventure of it,
Mhm.
but it's not a traditional Cuban additive to food.
Yeah.
My dad used to. I'm sorry. Let me see if I can say this. One time, my mom made whatever recipe, and maybe there was a little bit too much pepper, which I couldn't. But to him, we sat down, and I remember this to this day. He took a spoonful, and he went, "Oh!" And he put his hands, and he pushed back, and all it was pepper. He pushed back, and he got up and stuff, and that's burning. And so, it may sound ridiculous, but that hot ingredient is not applicable traditionally in the Cuban. So that reaction to me, I was like, oh well, I'm a little bit more adventurous with it. So it's also on a personal level, like you were saying. But yeah, I like Tabasco sauce. I typically like the green.
Yeah.
That's the one I like.
I like it too. I like Tabasco green too. When we were in the Army, I started off years ago, back when it was still C rations. Everybody brought a bottle of hot sauce to the field with them. If you were going to eat C rations, you had to have something. You had to give it some flavor, because everything in the can, or now with the MREs, is cooked without salt and without pepper. They have to cater to everybody. You had a little package of salt and pepper that came in the box in your little accessory pack that had the little plastic spoon and what have you. But they didn't season the food at all. And you find people putting hot sauce on some of the weirdest stuff. I mean, but you had to do that to give it a little bit of flavor. And it got so popular that when they changed from C rations, which were in a can, to MREs, the meal ready to eat, which was in a little foil envelope, they started including a little miniature bottle of Tabasco sauce.
I've seen those.
About enough for like maybe, I don't know, I'd say a teaspoon of hot sauce for the whole meal. And I mean, I didn't care. When you went to the field, there would be tons of those things, because not everybody used them. And people put hot sauce on some of the goofiest stuff. Fruit cake, hot sauce on your fruit cake. Okay, fine. But, that's all you're going to eat today. You got to eat it all. Let's give it some flavor.
I mean, I can't say that I'm the one that invented it, but when Chicken McNuggets first came on the scene, and they had the little box, the little packets of barbecue and honey and all that. For a time when that first came out, it was like reinventing the wheel, or it was just the most marvelous thing that McDonald's had, the Chicken McNuggets. And I think that I invented, obviously I don't think I did, but at the time, where I'd take the little packets of the barbecue sauce or whatever, and I'd take some mayonnaise and I'd pour it in and mix it with the fry, and the fry would I'd stir it with the fry to make my own sauce, and then the fry would break in the process, and it wasn't mixed right. So I'd pull out the fry and eat the fry, and then I'd take another one and it'd break. I'd keep eating it until I had a perfectly mixed sauce, and then I'd start my meal.
Well, now this is interesting, because you do you guys have back east? I don't remember it back there, but Miami is another country. So do you have fry sauce specifically for French fries? Not ketchup, but it's called fry sauce.
Well, remember, traditionally that's not even heard of, but we do have all the major chains that go across the country, so we do know what that is, because you can buy it at Walmart and all that. But as far as traditionally here, people have no. Okay. The older generations would not even consider it. It's ketchup, and that's it.
Well, I don't know. I see. I didn't know if it was a West Coast thing or not, because I remember there was a chain out here on the West Well, it's been years back because I was little. So it was before I was like, 3 or 4 years old, something like that. The chain was called Arctic Circle, and it was all over the West Coast. Well, they have downsized, and they're now just Idaho, basically, Idaho and Utah only. And they had ketchup, but they also had fry sauce.
Yeah.
Which was a spicy ketchup, mayo, mustard mix. And a little bit of hot sauce mixed in there. And I miss Arctic Circle fry sauce. I'm going to have to get online and order some. But every once in a while, add a little bit more hot sauce to that fry sauce and just ketchup, forget it. Don't want it. Give me fry sauce.
That's great. Well, I remember, this is not similar, but I guess it's within the area of it. I remember when the commercials of, or at least when I started realizing the commercials of Grey Poupon.
Oh, yeah.
And when you're a kid, you're kind of silly. And, I asked my mom, because we had that, I guess, just yellow mustard at home.
Yeah.
And I never liked it. She said, "Oh, put some mustard. It's horrible." But when I started seeing the commercials of Grey Poupon, I was like, we gotta have some Grey Poupon. And it just goes to show the power of, advertising and stuff. And I'm a little kid, and I'm like, "Mom, we gotta get Grey Poupon." "Son, you don't even like the regular mustard." "No, we gotta get the Grey Poupon. I don't know how long it lasted that I was on the Grey Poupon because of the commercial.
Yeah.
That I think she bought like a little bottle or something, and I was amazed to see that it had like little seeds and stuff in the whole thing. And I tasted it and I said, "This is crap." It was another of those instances that, and I've done that so many times as a kid. My mom would she would what's the word? She'd go and do, and to make me happy as moms. And I'd just totally like, boy, that was a stupid thing. And then I just move on, That's why they tell you no a lot of times, parents do.
But that's an illustration of how susceptible we are for advertising. And I've said it before and I'll say it again, and I mean it. People are such sheep. Grey Poupon and Dijon mustard had been around for centuries, and nobody really cared about it. But they came up with a catchy advertising slogan, and all of a sudden, everybody had to have Dijon mustard. Suddenly there were Dijon mustard salad dressings.
Yeah.
And I don't remember which company it was that came up with it, but they had a mayonnaise Dijon mustard blend in the jar called Dijonaise.
That's great.
And it was in the squirter bottle. You could squirt it on your bread and you take the knife and, whatever.
Sauces are awesome.
And then all of a sudden it switched over from Dijon mustard. It became honey mustard.
That's right.
And then everybody was going nutso over honey mustard. And then the stone ground mustard with the big chunks of the seed still in it and everything. Now we're on the ranch dressing thing. Everybody, and I don't know if this is a West Coast thing or if this happens everywhere. Yeah. But people out here are fixated with ranch dressing. You go to my absolute favorite pizza place in the whole world, Abby's Pizza, # not sponsored, but I wish I was. We get a small pizza and we get their fried potatoes, deep fried in peanut oil. Man, are they good. And the first thing they ask you is, you want ranch with this? Ranch on your pizza? Well, yeah, a lot of people put ranch on their pizza. What's crazy?
Yeah.
It doesn't go together to me. That's like peanut butter and bologna. No.
I mean,
hopefully we have jumped the shark on the ranch dressing thing, because I kid you not, I saw somebody post today on Facebook. This is a thing. I looked at it. Somebody has come up with a ranch flavored soda.
Oh, geez. No way. No.
This has got to end. We have to find something else. So we got to get away from the ranch dressing and find something else, people. When they start making ranch dressing soda, we've jumped the shark.
Boy, they did just go over the top with that one. Well, I mean,
yeah. I know. There are, I don't think the machine has yet been invented that can measure how disgusting I think that is.
Yeah.
And I've not even tried it.
Well,
I didn't know it was a thing until today.
Don't knock it until you try it.
I'll knock it. I'll knock it the heck out of the park. No, there are certain things you don't do. I mean, that's like sardines and grape jelly. Quit it. Just stop.
Oh, jeez.
Stop it.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things like some people, there are things, I mean, because ingredients are a thing where, it's not common to a certain area. But like you could say, like, oh, I don't know, Indian food from India.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a certain smell to it. That curry. It's got a certain,
Yep.
I kind of dig it. At least the dishes I've tried. Mm-hmm. Don't ask me to tell you what they were, but I dug it,
I'm pretty adventurous when it comes to food. I've tried a few things that other people have just gone, oh, ick, Octopus, it's fine. It tastes great. It's a little tough, a little chewy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is very. I found a place over in Hawaii that sold smoked octopus, and oh my God, was that good! But a little bit goes a long way. Yeah, because you give your jaws a workout trying to eat the stuff.
If you take calamari and you do the little sort of breaded and fried, that kind of works, But in reality, I mean, what a creature to be eating. Consuming.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm pretty adventurous with that, but I still don't understand. It is a joke, but seriously, who was the first person to eat an oyster? I mean, there is absolutely nothing about an oyster that makes me go, yeah, give me a steaming dozen of those. I don't get it. But you figure it out, you try it, and if they're good, they're good. Doesn't matter what it looks like. I mean, I'm with you on the calamari. I love calamari as well. But, I mean, I figure people have been eating this stuff for centuries. If it was going to do anything to you, it had done it to them by now.
Oh, yeah. What I can't, and it's more, I just think it's disgusting, are frog legs. I think it's totally disgusting.
I've never tried them. I don't know.
I've
never tried it.
I used to bread them. I used to bread them and prep them. Mm-hmm. And some of them still had a little bit of the skin on them with the little dots. And I'm like, this is, I mean, it was horrible. And people would order, like, you'd have Europeans come in to visit the Everglades. And like I mentioned before, we'd take turns throughout the week on what our jobs were, because we were self-contained little organization. So everybody did kitchen, everybody did airboating, everybody did, working with the picking up stuff and just the whole 9 yards. Register, I mean, just the whole 9 yards. Sure. And when I did the breading of it was horrible, dude. Yeah. It was I mean, they smell like fishy without salt.
Yeah, there's an old German saying is if you obey the law and you like sausage, you should never see how either is made. And I'm with you there. I mean, but, preparing food is sometimes not the prettiest sight in the world. But, yeah, I've just never been in a position to try them. I mean, when I say I'm adventurous when it comes to food, if somebody's offering me a bite of something, or if I go to somebody's house and we're having something different for a meal or a snack or what have you, sure, I'll give it a try. But when I go to a restaurant, I go and I look for the stuff I know I like. Like there are certain places I want to go to get fish and chips. There are certain places I want to go to get a steak. There's certain place I want to go to get ribs. And if we're going to this restaurant, I kind of have an idea in my brain of what I'm going to order before I get there.
I never order when I go out to a restaurant. You tell me if you're different. I will never or have never ordered chicken. I find it to be the least appealing food when going to a restaurant.
It depends. There was a barbecue joint we used to go to in Louisville, Kentucky, when I was stationed at Fort Campbell. It was called Sonny's Barbecue. And they had an all-you-can-eat barbecue chicken deal. And brother,
don't get me wrong. If that's the case,
yeah, I could tear up some barbecue chicken.
no, don't, now, if that were the case, that's different. All you can eat stuff.
Yeah.
With the yeah, no.
And oh my God, was it good? But I'm kind of with you. I really have to. I mean, there have been times that I've had, if they've got a special on like fried chicken or something like that, I'll get it. But when I go to a restaurant, chicken is not usually the first thing on my mind. I'm going there looking for something like pork chops or I'm a steak or something like that. I'm generally speaking not after chicken. I do order it every once in a while if it just strikes me as, hey, that looks good, I'll give it a shot. But usually if I've been there before, I have a favorite that they make really well, and that's why we're coming back.
Yeah.
So, but other than that, I don't know. There are certain places I won't order fish from because I don't think they do it very well. There are other places that make killer sandwiches, but their steaks are not all that good. So, it just depends.
It varies.
Yeah.
I used to think going to the fast food, I used to think Big Macs tasted way better before than they do now. I don't know what it is, but Big Macs before used to be bad to the bone. Like you'd bite and like the sauce was, now it seems like they just squirt a little bit of the special sauce. They squirt a little bit of the onions on it. It seems like, and it's smaller, it's shrunk.
It is.
Like, I mean, it's not right, man. It's not right.
Well, the Big Mac, when I was a kid, the Big Mac was the biggest hamburger they made. And it was a quarter-pound burger. Well, then when they came out with the quarter pounder, they made the Big Macs. Oops, excuse me. When they came out with the quarter pounder, they made the Big Mac smaller so it didn't compete.
Yeah, I wasn't happy. I think it's lost its clout. Maybe it's because I'm older, or maybe because it's literally crappier. But I can't.
I haven't been in a McDonald's in so many years. I don't even know what they have anymore. McDonald's was always geared towards kids, and parents put up with it just to shut their kids up. I want to go to McDonald's. I want to go to McDonald's. Yeah, because they put ketchup on everything. That's why kids liked it.
I wasn't a big, ketchup. You use ketchup, but I don't even know what it was. I think that also the toys helped bring kids in because I wanted the toy. I mean, I don't know. They had like these little gloves, and they had like a Ronald McDonald. You put the glove on, and it's Ronald McDonald. I mean, it's a useless piece of plastic, but right. Kids want it. And
sure.
The little cars and whatnots.
Well, see, that was after I was already a bit more grown up. They didn't have Happy Meals or anything like that when I was growing up. That came around when I figured out that, Wendy's and Jack in the Box were better. So, see, I don't think you guys have Jack in the Box back in the East Coast, do you?
No.
I know it's a West Coast chain, but I don't know how far back it goes.
Yeah, we don't have none of that.
Okay. And out back there, you guys have Hardee's.
Yeah.
It's the same company. Out here, we have Carl's Jr. It's the same company, just a different name. And I don't know why the name change. I don't get it.
I mean, my area, we used to have a Hardee's right a few blocks away from here. Mm-hmm. And we'd go through the drive-through. We're talking in the 80s, and we'd grab some burgers, my dad, and with a shake, and that was good stuff. We had Arby's, and they brought that down, which was very upsetting because I love Arby's, and it was right there. It was perfect. I'm telling you, it was perfect. You had all the good stuff, and then they switched it out to just crap. I mean, there is a place called Pollo Tropical. Yeah. And that's good stuff because they have, chicken, but fast food chicken, and they'll have all sorts of like Caribbean, Latin, generalized. It's mostly Caribbean, but like it's the Caribbean, and it's really good stuff. So that's I guess an okay trade-off, but I like Arby's better because, I mean, the roast beef.
If you were going to pin me down to what is my favorite fast food joint, it would have to be Arby's. And there I do take some time to look at the menu because I don't know what kind of mood I'm in and I don't know what I want.
Yeah.
They have a brisket sandwich that they do now that's real good. I like it a lot. It's nothing like a home slow roasted brisket on the smoker, but it's still pretty ding dong good. So yeah, if I was to be nailed to the wall about what would be my favorite fast food joint, it would have to be Arby's. And I am that guy. It's a good thing they don't put the horsey sauce in the little individual packets because I would clean them out and take it home with me. That's another thing I like on French fries. And when I'm having beef at home, I like a horseradish sauce on my beef.
What do you mean the individual pack? They do have them in the individual packets.
Not out here, they don't. Out here, we get the little cup, the little paper cup, and you go over and hit the squeeze plunger. They don't have them in the little. Now they do for the drive-through.
Yeah,
but I don't go to the drive-through because my theory on the drive-through is they only serve you the stuff they don't have the guts to hand to you face to face. You know.
Next time you go to Arby's, I'm going to give you a suggestion. Linda and you know, make sure she brings one of those big leather purses. And when you go over to the pump station, you just pull the whole thing out, unscrew it, and just have her open up the purse and just dump it all in there, put it back, and just say, "We're out of horsey," and just get out.
You've given me an idea. I don't think I'll do that, but I now know what I'm going to do with the next 1 liter soda bottle I get.
Pump it into it,
rinse that sucker out, and fill it up with horsey sauce. Yeah,
yeah. And while you're at it, the napkin dispenser, you just pull down on it and just.
Yeah. Well, you know, it depends. Now, if I'm having a regular roast beef sandwich there, I'll put the Arby's sauce and the horsey sauce on it. So yeah, I need a lot of napkins.
There you go. And everybody can use straws at home. So you go to the straw dispenser, that has the box. You can lift the lid on the top and just go.
Well, now out here, everybody's become so environmentally conscious. You have to ask for a straw. They don't just automatically give you one. You have to ask for a straw. Yes, I'm serious as a heart attack.
I hope they have toilet paper in the John, because
they do, but you have to ask for a straw because otherwise they will not give you one. And that's another thing out here in restaurants, especially in California and in areas that some areas in Nevada where droughts are pretty common. You go into a restaurant and sit down, you have to ask for ice water. They don't automatically just put a glass in front of you because they know 99 times out of 100 you're not going to drink it. You're not going to touch it. So I have just become used to asking for ice water when I sit down because I do drink it.
Yeah.
So
have you ever gotten, like, when you go to a restaurant and so the process is, the first thing they bring you water. I mean, you would think, that's what they do here. I don't know what happens across the country, but they'll bring you some water. Do they do that over there? Like some ice water and stuff?
That's what I was talking about. Some places you have to ask for it. They don't automatically bring it to you.
So when they do bring it to you, have you ever had the situation where, boop, they put it to you and you notice a freaking fingerprint mark or some sort of blemish, and you're sitting there, and they walk away, and you're sitting there with, you want to drink, and you're like, now there's a freaking, I don't want that water.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, that same scenario, if we were stuck on a deserted island and that was just the one, I'd be drinking that, licking the thumbprint. I don't care. But
yeah,
we're in a civilized, give me something with no fingerprints on
Along it. The same lines, have you ever had a glass sat down in front of you and there was lipstick on it?
No.
That happened to me one time at a Denny's. Just one of the many reasons why I don't like Denny's. I haven't been in a Denny's in probably as many years as it's been since I've been in a McDonald's, but I do not like Denny's for some reason.
See, I like Denny's.
Yeah, there's too many local places to get breakfast, and that's what I think of Denny's as. Is that's a place where you go to get breakfast.
It kind of is, but it's a diner. It's a
sure.
it's a slash diner slash like fast food. Although diners are it's a weird. It's not quite. It's in its own category in a way.
Yeah, it kind of is its own category. I mean, they were famous for being open 24 hours before anything else was.
Mm-hmm.
But there are so many other much better places out there that I don't even bother with Denny's anymore. You know, it's like the fast food of breakfast places to me, because that's what Denny's became famous for, was breakfast 24/7. And, you know, I would rather have something else, just anything but Denny's. But yeah, the water glass sat in front of me with lipstick on it, and I just kind of looked at it. And she, you know, was taking care of other people, putting glasses out and doing this, that, and the other. And I said, "Excuse me, ma'am." She said, "Yeah." And I said, "This lipstick is just not my shade." And she looked at it, turned about 4 different colors of red at the same time. "I am so sorry," and off, gone, and came back with a fresh glass.
Now, I know that I've told this before, but some people might not have heard it. And just for I'll be quick about it. But so just to see how just the high class, you know, that some people can be, you know, because, you know, I mean, we know things, you know. So I went into, I think it was a Red Lobster with the girlfriend at the time and we sat down, and the waiter comes up and he says, "Oh, what would you like to eat?" And I said, "Oh, I'd like this." And then she said, "Oh, okay, I'd like that and stuff." And then he says, "All right." So, and for drinks and all that went you know, on. And then the next thing was, "Now, sir, would you like the super salad?" And I looked at him, and I looked at my girlfriend, and I said, "What's in it?" He said, and he didn't do anything. He said, "Sir, would you like the super salad?" And I said, and my girlfriend's looking also. She was also intrigued of what was in the super salad. And because
you're thinking, you know, a big 6-foot bowl of salad here. What's in the super salad?
We're classy. and I said, and I said, "Sir, so what's in the super salad?" He said, "Sir, would you like the super salad?" And I said, "Oh, soup or salad." And I started cracking up in front of him, and she started and we were cracking, but he was not cracking up. We were having the time of our life, laughing at how dumb, you know, we were, and he was not amused, dude. But it's just one of those things. He said, "Would you like the super salad?" And I'm like, "Dude, you know, tell me what's in the super salad."
Yeah. Well, you know, I'd have thought that he would have just kind of, you know, well, the soup of the day is clam chowder.
Right.
And, you know, the salad is with the dressing of your choice. That would have clarified. But yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, well, he could have given us a break. But here's the thing. I think that he totally did not understand that the way he said it was like so back to back. Well, would you like the soup or the salad? But would you like the super salad? He was like, yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's one of those things that was very, very funny.
It would have really frosted his cupcakes if you'd have just said, yeah.
Yeah. If I was in that mood, if I was in that sort of mood, that I would think super salad, why not? You know what? Toss it over here. Yeah. That would have really messed up his day.
Okay. Now throwing a different one at you here. Okay. Yeah. When you've been to a fancy sit-down restaurant, well, that doesn't even have to be fancy. You go in for a sit-down meal at a restaurant. How often do you save room for dessert? How often do you order dessert at those restaurants?
It's a 50-50 depending on how it's a 50-50. I don't have a specific.
I almost never order dessert.
That's what I'm saying. Sometimes you get too full.
Yeah, because exactly. It's just, you know, no. And I'm the kind of person that I don't eat dessert with the meal anyway. I've always I got to wait a little while before I'm ready for cake or pie or something like that.
You know? Yeah.
I mean, good grief. I have ice cream in bed at 11 o'clock at night. You know, that's dessert to me.
Yeah.
But now, if Linda's off doing something that, I don't know about while I'm back here doing something on the computer or what have you, which is typical. For instance, we were in a hangout the other night and all of a sudden Linda comes in and I had to turn and look what's going on. She comes in with the first quart of strawberries out of the garden.
Nice.
She had picked the strawberries, and I showed it off to the guys in the hangout, and they were like, "Oh man, strawberry shortcake!" Well, I wear headphones, so I know she didn't hear that. But unbeknownst to me, about 3 days ago, she went out and picked another gallon of strawberries out of the garden, then made homemade shortbread,
Oh, that's
or
awesome.
shortcake rather. And we had strawberry shortcake. Now that I will purposely set aside time for. And brother, I did. So yeah, you don't get homemade strawberry shortcake very often. And we've got more ripe strawberries out there, just saying, in case she's listening. So
We have this thing here in Miami that, and I don't partake in it, although I have in the past, but lately I don't, where they drink coffee around the clock, espresso coffee, or what they call Cuban coffee, which is basically the espresso coffee, forgive me. And so it's done with a lot of sugar, compacted coffee, percolator, and that's what and we have little windows where everybody stops. You could be working in downtown and coming from, out west, and you might stop, get your coffee, you sip it, boom, 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 drop the little cup there and keep going. And that goes on a daily basis. And it's very potent, and it'll get you high for about 10, 15 minutes, depending. People do that all the time, especially after a meal. And you'll have that after your meal as finishing off your meal, and it wakes you up. It actually, so that's very typical here.
Yeah. And that's typical all over Europe. It's only recently coffee, like Americans like to drink it, has become even a little bit of a thing over in Europe. Coffee over there is almost, at least it was when we were stationed over in Germany in the 80s and early 90s, almost always a real dark roast, ground very, very fine, and made like espresso. And we found that in Germany, we found it in France, we found it in Holland, we found it in Belgium, Switzerland. I mean, just everywhere we went, every country we went to when we visited over there was the same thing. Very thick and very small servings. Yeah. Because it's very thick.
Yeah.
I mean, almost the kind of coffee you needed a knife and fork for.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Well, so I grew up, where they would actually put coffee into the baby bottle mixed with the milk. They'd drop a little bit of it to give it that taste. And I literally grew up, as a kid drinking that. And then as you get older, but at one point, my dad switched from Cuban coffee, especially in the latter times, and I'd make the coffee for him. And he was, and I had a special mixture where he'd always say, "Oh, that's great." I don't know if it was, he always say, "Oh my goodness, you make the best coffee." I didn't do anything. I just put the pot but he liked the mix of coffee to water, whatever the ratio. And for a while there, I had been drinking just the American coffee because at least for me, I don't get you get really jittery with the Cuban. I mean, you feel like you're like, whoa. And it's a little uncomfortable, that feeling.
Caffeine will do that to you, man. I mean, like the energy drinks.
Yeah.
The big, 16-ounce huge energy drinks, looks like an oil can, with the aluminum top, one of those will set my heart to racing. I can't drink one of those big things of the energy drinks. And it's a shame because there's a couple of them that I do actually like, but I have to go find the small cans because it's too much caffeine all at one whack.
Yeah, me. I can't. It's too much.
I don't do the espresso either. I like a latte or a cappuccino on occasion, but that's more about the mixture of milk with coffee, to me anyway.
Yeah.
Than it is the caffeine. I've been drinking coffee since I was I don't know, 12 or 13 years old, and I was in the Army for so long. I've had some really excellent coffee, and I've had some stuff that I swear they were going to use to fill potholes in the road.
Yeah.
And I've just decided life is too short for bad coffee, so I'm going to make it the way I like it. And that's what I just do, you know.
Last thing I'll say about the coffee thing, there was one time that I was at a gas station. It was a gas station. I was working, by the way, and at that gas station, I dropped in, and I wanted some coffee to, perk up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And when I tasted that coffee, within 4 or 5 minutes, I don't know what it was, and I had come back to that because I was working in the area. I had come back since that time, and it happened every time I went to that. I don't know what they put in it, but I felt an actual physical well-being sort of feeling overtake me. And I don't know if it was the specific blend of I don't know what it was. Did they have drugs in it? But it was a perfect. I felt my body, like I felt a joy. It was kind of orgasmic in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had never felt that with coffee in such a pleasant way. And I'd make an effort to come back to that coffee place, until I didn't have to work in the area no more.
Caffeine is a weird drug, man. And, make no mistake, y'all, caffeine is a drug. It's actually regulated in its pure form because too much of it is fatal.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get a fatal dose out of a cup of coffee unless you do something stupid. But, and folks, don't do stupid stuff. That's all. But it does that to you. And doctors will tell you, you basically have two choices. Either drink the caffeine, the coffee, the soda, the tea, whatever you're drinking that has caffeine in it. Either drink it or don't. But don't try to do the binge and purge things where you'll go for a week and drink a lot of coffee and then a week where you're not. Because that's what throws your body off. And when you get to a certain point after you've been drinking coffee or any caffeinated beverages, your body gets to a certain point to where you have built up a physical tolerance to it. And it no longer peps you up. It makes you feel normal.
That's what all drugs to a point. You need it to feel normal.
But caffeine is really wicked stuff, man. You got to be careful with that. You really do. And I mean, and people are like, well, it's just some coffee. Yeah. Try stopping for 2 weeks. You will feel bad.
Well, I mean, I drink 1 cup in the morning and sometimes I'll have one after lunch or after dinner, like tonight, before we come on here. I did not. I could have used it, but 1 in the morning when I wake up is always, it's routine.
Yeah. I make a half pot in the morning and then I make a half pot in the evening. I'm sipping on a cup right now, So I gotta have, I've decided I'm at that stage in my life where I've got to choose my vices with care and be faithful to them. So it's coffee and ice cream for me. So that's it.
Switching gears, do you think that we have time to touch on the subject? Maybe just one of them?
One of them, it will have to be short because we've been on for almost an hour already. Holy cow. Time flies when you're having fun.
When you're talking about food.
Do
you want to touch on it or no?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So we're going to go ahead and call someone out, and that's Jim Dockrell. Because he gave us a great idea. We've been asking for a while for suggestions and topics and whatnot. And I believe that you're the one that saw it. I had missed it. So can you tell us a little bit?
Yeah, he said something to me in a live chat in one of our friends' live streams, and I don't even remember which one it was. He said, "Hey, Mark, you should do something about women in rock and roll or women in rock." And I said, "That's a great idea, Jim. That's also the kind of thing we would like you to talk about over on the Trampled Underfoot Podcast Facebook page so other people can either give it a thumbs up or thumbs down. So he did. And thank you for doing that, Jim. I don't know what your attitude is. I'm going to be a little bit controversial, so you go ahead and I mean, we've all got our favorites. We all have our favorite artists and stuff like that. But I'll go ahead and I'll just say it. When it comes to women in music, my absolute favorites are the Motown singers and the soul singers. Aretha Franklin, Natalie Cole. I love Mary Wells, so, but when it comes to rock music, there aren't a lot that I really, really enjoy. I mean, I liked Heart back in the day for a while, but female singers and me, it's just, it's not my taste, it's not my style.
Could it be that what happens to me with bandanas and leopard loincloths, where I can't associate, I can't, so like, when they're doing a love song or whatnot, if it's a lady singing it, you're like subconsciously, well, that's not for me, it's she's singing to a guy. Could it be something within
I don't know if that's it. I'd never really considered that before until you just said it now. Is it because it's a girl singing about a guy and I can't relate to it?
Yeah.
I never thought about that. Now there are a couple of singers out there that have absolutely dynamite voices that I do like. Alana Miles, she had a big hit with Black Velvet. I like, I'm probably one of just a few who actually likes Melissa Etheridge. I think she's got a killer voice. Let's see, Stevie Nicks. Everybody likes a little bit of Stevie Nicks, but a little bit of Stevie Nicks goes a long way with me. I think, to be honest with you, if you're talking Fleetwood Mac, Christine McVie does a lot better job. I don't know, something about her voice that's a lot warmer, but the Wilson sisters in Heart, talk about pipes. Oh my God. But going back through my iTunes and looking down the list at the female singers, it's almost all soul and Motown. It really is. And that just kind of struck me as odd. I was looking at it earlier this week. So I don't know where you're at on that.
So I've got a few, boy, how am I going to address this? So here's the thing. If it's a female singer that's going to sing all love songs all the time, like a male singer would, like it's all romance and gentleness, mm-hmm. and Tweety birds and like flowers blooming and like all that stuff.
Yeah.
I might like a song out of the lot, but I will not take that CD record and do what I do with most music that I listen to, where there's a variety of themes. Like, I don't want the story to always be gentle and without the controversy. I look at the songs as little mini stories or musical. Yeah. There's a few things I haven't worded it out in the past to be able to put it in, which is something I might do one day for the heck of it. I don't know why, but so to me, too much of the sensitivity thing throughout a whole record in the context of record, mm-hmm. Might work in one situation, but generally speaking, not. Yeah. So that would be my only sort of objection to it as being favorable. But, so that aside, there's iconic things. So there's iconic, like Lita Ford, one of the most iconic, singers, music. And it's a simple song, because there's also something that we talk about
Right.
You don't have to be brilliant necessarily in every musical, song, or it could be just pure rock for the sake of rock, and there doesn't have to be any psychedelic
Right.
deep meaning. It could be on the punk side or just the vanity side. There could be all these things expressed, and I dig all of that, right? Like, so Lita Ford, a perfect example of such a cat is the one where I forget the name of the song, but "Kiss Me Deadly," where she says, "I went to a party last Saturday night. I didn't get laid. I got in a fight. It ain't no good." And then and then it goes, "Because you know what I like." And that's an example of that. I just got chills thinking about it, because that song, even though you might think of Lita Ford, just people out there generally, as like a one-hit wonder or this or that, she has a history in rock and roll. She has a story to tell. And that song, she had two that I remember from that solo career, which was that one in the 80s, and then she had the secondary one where it was "Close Your Eyes Forever" with Ozzy Osbourne or something like that. And I remember back in the day, an older friend, the guy that used to have a bunch of girlfriends all the time, and we always looked up to him because he was like the cool guy. We were all listening to that, "Close your eyes," and Ozzy is telling Lita Ford to close her eyes forever, like forever. And back then, remember the mystery of the like satanic stuff,
Right.
There was that worry, and this older friend of ours said he's telling all of us, like he was defining them. He's telling all of us to sell our souls to the devil. And I remember him saying that. And I was like, "Ooh," I was little.
Yeah.
I was younger, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, is he?" And that moment, notice the power of that moment made me doubt the Oz. And I had Ozzy collections. I said, it's true. There are demonic creatures on his albums. And it was a conflict, but I liked the music so much. I liked the rock. And I lived for a little while as a kid with the conflict. This is evil, but I got to listen to it. So, so anyways, whatever. I'm digressing. So Lita Ford, that song, that's like an iconic thing. And where she's using the pop within the rock. I don't know if I'm even making sense, but whatever. Lita Ford to me is an example. Going back, Janis Joplin is an example of not compromising. So she's singing to all sorts of people, as opposed to like, the issue that I had mentioned earlier. It's a girl singer, so she's just going to sing about love. Janis Joplin did it up. You know what I'm saying? So
yes.
So I guess that's what I think. I don't know what you guys think about that.
My question for you is, does the genre of music matter to you? Because I mentioned Motown earlier, Martha and the Vandellas. And
I agreed with everything you said earlier.
And then so you mentioned Janis Joplin, and something a lot of people seem to forget about Janis is she was primarily a blues singer.
Yeah.
And there are a ton of excellent female blues singers out there.
Well, she was a blues singer, but she pushed the envelope to create that rock. Like she's coming from blues, but she was totally rock.
Right. But she never half-stepped anything. She put 100% into everything she did, almost 100% into almost everything she did. But when Janis was singing, you knew Janis was singing. And that's just it. Whether it be something like Crybaby or even something calm on the calmer side, like Me and Bobby McGee. For me, that will always be Janis's song. And that's just all there is to it. But there are other voices out there within that genre, like Beth Hart. Now, she's not primarily a blues singer, but when she sings blues, oh man, I don't know if you've seen the video of Beth Hart and Joe Bonamassa together. Oh my gosh. And I just blanked on the title of the song. I'd Rather Go Blind. I'll link that over on the Facebook page as well. Those two, his guitar playing and her voice belong together. That's just all there is to it. she's got a fabulous voice. I think maybe that might be why I like Melissa Etheridge and Alana Miles so much, is because they also do that bluesy thing.
So you don't mind so
They're
much that it's a whole, like, because there's these romantic,
But
with
it's not that. It's not the syrupy sweet stuff. I mean, you listen to I'm the Only One by Melissa Etheridge, there's some wailing going on there. It's not a bunch of syrupy sweet stuff.
Bonnie Raitt.
Bonnie Raitt, I like her voice. I wish she would spend a little more time playing guitar, but that's my personal bias. But she is that syrupy sweet all the time.
No, she plays Bonnie Raitt.
Yeah, when she plays excellent, but when she's singing, it's that mellow, smooth tone that she gives.
I'm talking more context, and like a story. I don't even know how to play. So imagine. So when I listen to music, there's different reasons for listening. One is, or traditionally, is the story, just to vamp out on, along with the music, as a listener, enjoying the vibe of that. And then there's the analyzing the music because I want to snatch ideas, put them in the back of my head, and let them sort of swirl around like a blender. And maybe one day in the future, that idea that I ingested will come out in something that I do.
Right.
Maybe not so much lately, because it's not like I've been, but just that's the idea, to feed into the little tricks that guitarists can do to add to the song. And so I'm thinking on those two levels in a subconscious way and letting it happen and stuff. But the story wise, I'm not going to be captured if the song is, very much like, men, they're so incredible. It's just some shit. It's just, I'm not going to.
Much the same way I'm not a huge fan of guys like Barry Manilow or Michael Bolton. I mean, it's just not my style of music.
That's it.
We've only touched on a few female vocalists. I mean, there are a ton out there. I mean, Mariah Carey, Demi Lovato, Beyonce, all that other stuff. It's just not my style of music. Now, I mentioned her name. I do think Demi Lovato has an excellent voice. And I love Motown, and I wish it would come back. I think she's one of the few singers these days who could put together a group of backup vocalists, and she could do some Motown tunes and have some serious hits. I mean, I could see her doing Heatwave or something like that and making that style popular again. And I wish somebody would do it. I love my Motown.
I will say also that there's sort of like weird sort of parts of, there's weird genres within the whole rock world or music world that kind of apply and don't apply, like Enya. I bought Enya records because I liked the just spaced out. I totally, because you have to understand, again, I'm exploring music, and so I bought Enya. Yeah. And sounds that she would create and all that. But that's like it's its own little world apart from the Dockrell said Mama Cass. That's also, but she also is coming from that wailing, that
and I was getting ready to go in that direction too, where you're talking about duets and groups, because the mamas and the papas cannot be denied. And it wasn't always the women singing backup. A lot of times the guys were singing backup, but their harmonies together. I mean, California Dreamin' is one of my all-time favorite songs. I always will be. And it's just the way their voices intermix with one another. And Cass Elliot was a class act. That's all there is to it. What I would have liked to have seen, just kind of in my brain here, and it'll never happen because they're both have passed away. I always wanted to see, just a fantasy of mine was to see Cass Elliot and Harry Nilsson do a duet. Because I think the two of them would have just been dynamite together. Those two voices together, man.
It's hard to separate, all these things, and it's a topic where they don't get as much of a, women rock singers, let's say, and it's not like they get and they do get a little bit of because back in the day, you're not going to wear, as a kid, and I've mentioned this before, a Bonnie Raitt shirt, as a guy walking into school or whatever the case may be. You're just not going to do that. But so there is a little bit of that, like the fashion and the social and the gender thing. There is all of that.
To a point, I do remember seeing Lita Ford T-shirts in the day.
I didn't see it on guys, but
I did. Because she kind of transcended that. I know exactly what you mean. For some reason, women in rock, it just it doesn't fit. Guys want guy things. They want Metallica.
Yeah. It's an identity, because what happens is people take on the identity of what they're listening to in a way. Like they're relating to it in a, there's like, I mean, it's the same thing with like a romance novel. Now, forgive you me, I don't know how many, because since Steve threw a little atomic bomb at me, I'll throw one at you. You're a reader, Steve. How many romance with Fabio on the cover have you read lately? So we'll continue with that. But
I can see that to a small point, but it always seemed like the women in rock had to work twice as hard to get half the recognition. Because I mean, you have guitarists like Samantha Fish, and she is an excellent guitarist. That woman can play, and you could put her up against any guitarist and she will hold her own. She's got an excellent voice too. But when guys look at someone like Samantha Fish, the first thing that pops into their brain is, oh, girls with guitars. And I think that's it. Not only is it unfair, I think it's just factually inaccurate. She's an excellent performer.
I will do that right after I see what they're about to present and what. So if they're using the guitar as a prop, and if it's a just vocalization thing where it's like one of these, because and like all that, and like squeezing every note out of a vocal thing, I'm detached from that crap. It's almost skirting like America's Got Talent territory, which I'm totally not down with. I can't deal with it.
There's another one that I'm going to have to, and I'm going to have to write this down so I make sure to do it. There's one that I'm going to have to link on the Trampled Underfoot Podcast Facebook page, and that is Samantha Fish and Sadie Johnson doing Black Cat Bone. Samantha Fish is playing her Delaney Telecaster. Sadie Johnson is playing a Fender Stratocaster. And Samantha sings the first verse, Sadie sings the second verse. Then they go into like a dueling guitars solo. Samantha starts it off, Sadie comes in, and they're supposed to go back into the next verse, and Samantha goes, oh no, I don't think we're finished here. And they just start trading licks back and forth. And a good half of the song is those two back and forth playing. And I mean, we're talking, this is put on the headphones, turn it up, sit down, shut up, and buckle in. This is good stuff. And I'll link it on the Trampled Underfoot Podcast Facebook page. It's a great YouTube video.
Let me go back in time also and name another person that's the artistry to me. I just enjoy it. Not every song, but Carole King. I totally dig Carole King.
First class songwriter.
And because just with what you're saying, she's a songwriter. In my opinion, she's a songwriter first.
Me too.
And because the singing could sometimes be categorized a little bit into like a dirty, maybe not necessarily disciplined, although far from undisciplined, but there's a little bit more of that blues crashing in there. It's kind of where I like to be. So I'll sit and listen through and have Carole King just all day, Janis Joplin all day, because I think it's what you said, that element of that raw. But when it's too prissy, I just start not relating to it.
And I also just kind of flashed on that all of the singers that I've talked about, that I have some of their stuff, almost all of them do have that rasp in their voice. You know, you don't have the real high, clear pitch voice. You got like Samantha Fish. I mentioned her a couple of seconds ago. Melissa Etheridge. I'm not much for Pat Benatar. I can take her or leave her. I won't turn it off, but I'm not rushing out to buy a Pat Benatar album. And it's the same thing with Joan Jett.
Oh, I wanted to mention Joan Jett.
You know, she's a good guitarist.
Well, the thing about Joan Jett is that how can I put this? Whatever one might say, the song that she came out with, and she has a few that are super hits, but what was it? I
Love Rock and Roll.
That one. Okay, so that song alone, just that on its own, barring just the fact that she created that, and it is simple, and it is, but it basically encapsulates rock and roll for me in every respect. So that's iconic. So Joan Jett is up there, and she also has a few other hits, but
that song made me go out and buy that album. And if you remember, that was one of my top 3 biggest disappointments for an album.
I do, because everything else was crap.
To me, everything else on that album was a waste of album.
Another Joan Jett, just so that you probably do know, but Joan Jett, her look, her style, and I thought she was just back in the day. I was like, I liked Joan Jett. I was like, wow.
Me too. I'll agree with you there.
She was like, she's in leather and she's rocking out. My goodness, I was like totally tripping off. She modeled herself after her idol. Which if you listen to her music, it's really cool. I forget her name now, unfortunately, on the spot. Her hero or heroine was what's her name? She had a funky name. Hold on, I'll tell you right now. I'm going to ask Google live on air. Who was Joan Jett's inspiration?
He's asking.
Oh, crap. It's not telling me.
Okay, Jim Dockrell says, didn't Joan Jett play Leather Tuscadero on Happy Days? I don't think that was her.
No, it was her idol.
That was Susie Quattro, I think.
That's what I was looking for. Thank you. Susie Quattro. If you look at Susie Quattro music videos, and by the way, Susie Quattro was slamming hot, dude. She had this look about her. Oh, my goodness. And leather as well. And she would rock it and scream. She had the bass. Dude, she was fantastic. But she rocked it. Like she was heavy duty and she was tiny with a huge bass, and she was like, "Let's rock and roll, MFers." And Joan Jett took that style and continued it.
Took it and ran with it. See, there's the difference in just the 2 decades, because I got that same thing out of Linda Ronstadt when she first came out. When she was doing "You're No Good" and "Tumbling Dice" and things like that, I was just madly in love with Linda Ronstadt.
Yeah,
she's got an excellent voice. She doesn't have that rasp to it that I was referring to, but it's, she play "You're No Good," "Tumbling Dice," and then get into "Blue Bayou." She can have anything she wants from me. At least that's what I thought when I was 16, 17 years old.
Right.
So then she cut her hair and I was heartbroken. But, what can you say? She's got a set of pipes too. I mean, that woman can just flat out sing, or she could. She's suffering from Parkinson's now that has just left her unable to sing anymore.
Okay.
But God, she could sing. And I mean, just go for hours and hours. But let's see. Other than that, there's a few others. Chrissy Hind. I have a couple of Pretenders songs. I think a lot of it was pretentious. She's got a good voice. it just wasn't my style of music. I just thought it was a bit pretentious for my taste.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, so I think we've named a few. I mean, there's Nina Simone again going into the. It's a funny thing, but specifically for the rock, it becomes a little bit more hard to. I mean, there's nowhere near the amount of female singers, songwriters, and so on that have been on the charts like the hordes of male singers. I don't think. I don't know if it's.
I think that audiences, and I'm making a broad generalization here, and it's probably the wrong thing to do, but I think audiences are more willing to let a male screw up. Forget the lyrics to his own song, get the words wrong, maybe repeat a line or something like that, or flub a note or something. But I think audiences are more critical of women on stage as a whole, whether it be in rock, whether it be in any kind of a genre at all. If a woman makes a mistake on stage, the whole world knows it. Remember that thing that happened a few years back on Saturday Night Live when, oh my gosh, what's her name? Katie. Oh my God, I can't remember. Was it? No, I've got the wrong one. She's one of the pop singers was caught lip syncing to the wrong song. She was caught lip syncing on Saturday Night Live. I almost said Katy Perry. That wasn't her. But she messed up. She was lip syncing to her song, and it basically ended her
career.
Just it was gone overnight. But over the years on Saturday Night Live, there have been a lot of male singers who have done the exact same thing. And yeah, it was mentioned, it was giggled about and laughed about at the time, but it didn't end a career like it did her.
Yeah, well, she did a funny little doinky dance on stage and stuff, and
yeah, she tried to laugh it off. I mean, what are you going to do?
Well, I don't know if you've seen. Well, go ahead.
But Milli Vanilli got their career destroyed for lip syncing, but that was a whole nother scandal. But I don't know if you remember a few years ago when the Red Hot Chili Peppers played the Super Bowl. I mean, it was right up front the very next day where they had video and pictures and freeze frames. Flea's bass wasn't plugged into anything. There's the empty jack. They didn't even put a fake plug in it. Mm-hmm. And it's like he wasn't playing nothing. They were syncing to something that was pre-recorded.
Yeah, well, it's a funny thing because I kind of dig the lip syncing when we're talking about 1960s videos and the band is there and it's a little slightly out of sync and I'm looking, there's something so like the Beatles, there's songs where they're lip syncing, tons of them, and I like them just the same. But then again, I'm a Beatles freak, so I totally enjoy it. But there's something about 60s lip syncing cheese. There's something about the cheesiness of that decade looking back from this that I kind of freaking dig. I like the cheese that I'm watching from the 60s. I don't know why, but I do. And the whole live, he's not playing live in a concert. I get it. But like on TV or something, I don't know. I don't, to me, it's not really a big here or there.
Yeah. I just think that audiences in general are harder on women if it's a perceived mistake than they will ever be on men.
What it doesn't work on though is again the romantic stuff where the song, like let's say it's a romantic song and you're like, because love, and then they're doing the face contractions and contorting and they're pretending that they're pushing that note. To me, that's the ultimate I can't handle that. So
Yeah.
that's another reason that the whole. But I dig ballads and all that, power ballads, and ballads is just the same. I'm just saying that if it's all a sensitive travel,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you
Yeah.
really have to for me to keep attention. You really have to pull it off in one way or the other. I like the drama within the
Right.
story of an album to have its fluctuations and all that. So
Right. Okay. Well, I'm in agreement with you there. There's got to be a little bit of variety. There's got to be a little bit of shake up. Yeah, you can kind of bring the energy down and do a ballad, maybe two, but you got to bring that energy back up there, and then you got to finish up strong, man.
well, yeah.
You got to excite the crowd to the audience. I mean, if we're talking about just an album, you have to excite the listener enough to buy the next album coming out. And something like Yanni just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, and it applies to situations like Yanni as well. So I guess I won't speak for you, but I also would generally associate, unless they prove it wrong, like the ones that we've mentioned, I'll associate it with just simple pop garbage, unless they have something to bring to the table, like the rock singers that we've mentioned this evening.
Yeah.
So,
but I think you're 100% right, man. There needs to be more women in rock, and they're out there. They're out there all over the place.
Oh no, wait. The independent rockers, you can see them on YouTube. I'm talking about what's made it to the top according to corporate the music industry.
Me too.
I'm talking about what they've decided that, hey, we're gonna push X, Y, and Z, out of those, it's far in between, but the underground, there's a truckload. Yeah.
And that's the beauty of the internet with things like YouTube. I mean, when Lindsay Sterling was on America's Got Talent and she made it to the quarterfinals, and they told her, you just don't have what it takes to make it in the music industry. She is one of the highest paid performers out there. Lindsay Sterling rocks. And she took that, you don't have what it takes to make it in the music industry, and she put that on her shoulder as a chip and said, come take it off. And 10 years later, it's still there.
Hey, sometimes, you can't say no to the...
She proved them 100% wrong. And she sells out just about, I think she sells out every concert she performs, and she is huge. But that was before people took the internet and like YouTube and some of the streaming services seriously. It's just like, well, you go over and have fun on YouTube with your funny little cat video friends. This is for adults over here. Then it's like, really? 200 million views on a video. You wish you sold 200 million records. You wish you had that kind of street cred.
I mean, it's big, and even just to lead out with this on my end, even if it is, like a good friend of mine always said, I'll repeat it here, but even if it is a full album of pure sap, and just grab the tissues and just cry yourself a river, they have millions of sales and this and this and that. I used to have these music conversations with my friend, and I tell him, yeah, man, because I don't like, if it was whoever it might be, the Rolling Stones or whatever. And he says, well, they have a platinum record. What do you got? A wooden record?
Yeah, they must be doing something right.
Right, they must be right. So, but that's the thing, right? We're critiquing from the point of the consumers of music, and there's opinions till the sun goes down, and it is opinion.
It's 100% personal preference, and like John Cleese said on Monty Python, I may not know much about art, but I know what I like.
I almost caused one evening at a show. It was a bar, and we were going to do a set, and between two drummers from two different bands, I told them flat out, because they were talking about the Rolling Stones, and I said, nope, they suck. And they were like, what? No, you get, maybe one song this. And I said, nope, I'm telling you right now. And I don't know what my attitude was, but I was like adamant, like point of fact. But the way I expressed my point of view pissed them. I mean, they were screaming, and it became, I said, gentlemen, the Rolling Stones, in fact, sucks. I'm sorry, but and I was so, and yeah, it became an issue, dude, that evening.
Always the controversial one.
Well, I think I did feel that I overdid it because I was surprised at the reaction to just my opinion. So I said, let's push this as far. Let's see how far they're upset. Right. They weren't happy about it. I'll tell you what.
Poke the bear, poke the bear, poke the bear.
Yeah. So, we are sponsored by Harneal Media. That's harnealmedia.com. And if you need a website, you need a web store, you want to sell your items, well, we have the site for you. It's a personalized service. Steve Nealon over at Harneal Media. You can reach out to him and let him know what you need, and he'll set that up for you. It's the best prices in town. So that's harnealmedia.com.
Right. He is the sponsor of the Trampled Underfoot Podcast website. You can come on over there, trampledunderfootpodcast.com. Click on that Wayback Machine button, and that'll take you back to our catalog of previous episodes. As I sit here looking at the screen right now, we are recording episode number 97. That means by the time you hear this podcast, there were at least 96 other episodes back there to take a listen to. And we talked about everything: music, TV, radio, movies, books. I think we talked about books once, didn't we?
We've talked about books. We've talked about medieval times. We've actually brought back people from the past, kings, and brought them into the 21st century and asked them to see how they feel about the world around them. Do they freak out about TVs? Boy, we've done so much. We've talked about wars spilling out in history across time. What else? Music.
Yeah. And in fact, William the Conqueror agrees Motown rocks. So that's trampledunderfootpodcast.com. Hit that Wayback Machine button and check our past episodes. And as we've mentioned several times already tonight, we do have a Facebook page. It's the Trampled Foot Underfoot. Yeah. Trampled Under. See, now I did it to me this time. Usually you crack me up. I crack myself up.
I can't believe how you got that one, all that mixed up. I don't know.
I blame lack of caffeine is what it is. My coffee.
How was it again? Trampled Foot Under.
I couldn't do it again if I had to.
Luckily, we have it on recording, so that's
I'll put it in a loop at the end of the episode because it's my end this week. The Trampled Underfoot Podcast Facebook page. Go over to Facebook and search for Trampled Underfoot Podcast. That's us. Right up on top, the very first post, always pinned to the top is, we want your input. Go ahead and leave a comment in that thread and tell us if there's a topic you'd like for us to talk about, or if there's a topic you wish we would shut up about. Let us know. We'd like your input.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, because I saw you, and then little extra aside. We want to go ahead and start reviewing a couple of music videos, and we're sketching out the idea. But if you have any music video that you'd like us to check out, toss it over there on our Facebook page. We can't promise that we're going to go through all of them. Each week we'll go ahead and pick one, and then we'll talk about it, here and there once in a while on the podcast to see what our opinions were about that video. So it's your choice. We may not pick everybody's each week, but each week we'll ask again, and we'll do a random, drawing or whatever we do to talk about it as an aside. If you like the idea, it'll work. If you don't like the idea, well, heck, it won't work.
Yeah.
And I'm going to leave the link to that Hot Ones YouTube.
Okay.
And I'm going to leave something else, Mark. I'm going to leave a video to a link of my favorite song and female artist, top of the heap. I'm going to post it, the actual music video. It's my favorite. And that's my bit.
Okay, and I will also link the Sadie Johnson and Samantha Fish black cat bone video over there on the Trampled Underfoot Podcast Facebook page. And before we wrap this up, I should also remind everybody that we record these epiphones. Oh man, that's 2 for 2. We record these episodes Tuesday evenings at 6:30 ish Pacific time, 9:30 ish Eastern time, right here on the YouTubes. Come on over to the YouTube, plug into that search bar, Trampled Underfoot Podcast. We hope you'll come join us in our semi-live chat room over here and just kind of give it a good go.
We also want to, or I think that I speak for Mark. We'd also like to thank Jim Dockrell for being the first to, just give us that little hint, and we appreciate it because it's just that little nudge, that little, hey guys, why not this, that we really appreciate. So if you guys have good ideas you think are good, we might just touch on them. So let us know over on the Trampled Underfoot Facebook page.
Just a quick little correction there. Jim wasn't the first. Katie Dotson fed us a few show suggestions back in the day when we were first getting started, when both of us had hair that wasn't gray and all this was green fields.
In order to avoid making me look that bad, we're going to go ahead and remember that was so long ago that I even forgot we were even doing show. I don't know. We're here today. So Jim, he just knocked your ass out of first place. You get a parting gift.
Yeah, a copy of the home game. That'll be shipped to you via UPS. Watch for the brown truck.
Well, so much for that, Jim. Mark managed to just wipe the floor with all of us, huh?
Yeah.
All right, so I think that we're good. Listen, you guys have an enjoyable week, and we'll catch you next week on Tuesday, 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific. And on behalf of the show, see yous. You're not going to say see you at the end?
No.
Should never have told you.